We are live. We are alive. Mm. Today, we're talking about, we've seen the movie 300. We've seen that movie. Maybe maybe we have not. Now, if you're a Gerard Butler fan, then you've seen it. I I saw some of it. I fast forwarded through the blood, guts, and gore. But anyway, I saw it. There won't be any spoilers because, maybe you haven't seen it. But I remember when that movie first came out, every man I knew was out here in these streets talking about, this is Sparta, pounding their chest and stuff. But do you realize what it takes? It was in Braveheart as well. Do you realize what it takes? You can incite someone to go into battle. Listen, even though they know of their impending doom, they will go into battle. Why? Because you riled them up. You gave them a purpose. You gave them something to believe in. So what do you think you're doing to yourself every day? What do they say? They say, hoorah, what do we possibly think that is? I keep saying to us every day that we are living this way every day. We can't not live this way. Every day we rouse ourselves, we rile ourselves up, we inspire, we motivate ourselves to act. So when he is out here talking, when the guy came and the big black guy came and he was talking to him and he said something I guess he didn't like. I don't remember what he said, but I remember him kicking him in the chest. But before he kicked him in the chest, what did he say? This is Sparta! And his spit was flying. And he said it with such conviction. Listen, I could have felt when the director said, cut! And he print that, Think about what he had to do to incite 300 men against how many? Against how many? This is what I'm trying to get across to you. You do this, I do this, we do this. We get up in the morning and we do our own This is Sparta. Of course we do. We have to rouse ourselves, get ourselves up and out to do something, to face the day, to do it. Because it is what we are inspired to do that makes us act. See, it is what we are inspired to do, what moves us mentally. I mentioned Braveheart because he had to do the same thing with his army. He painted his face blue and and he's riding on his horse and he's pacing the horse back and forth and he's talking to them. And the more he talks, the more incensed he becomes, the more passionate he becomes, until these men with their spears and their swords and their shields are banging. They did it as well in, the movie I'm talking about with Henry Cavill. Oh my God. Tell me the name of the movie. You know what I'm talking about. And he stood on the parapet and he was yelling at them. You don't have to listen to me. I'm nobody. And he's telling them, if we die. And there was also the other man that said in The Matrix, and if this is our day to die, we give them hell before we do. What is happening? You are inciting the self to act. It is the only way we do act. So when you are talking yourself into something that you want to do and you want to do it well, you will find that you pace and you're talking to yourself. You're pacing back and forth and you're talking to yourself. You're telling yourself, like, yes, I can. You're pounding your chest. You're telling yourself, I can do this. What are you doing? You are rousing the self to believe what you are saying so that you will act it out. Day in and day out, we're doing it. And all I'm just showing you is where we're doing it. You can incite a man to go into battle. At the loss of his own life, he's going to go. Because he believes in something that you made him believe in. So now, if you can incite a man or woman to run headlong into their own impending doom, do you not think you can incite a man or a woman to rush headlong into living a beautiful life? It's exactly the same. It is exactly the same. All you're doing is stirring them up. Ooh, hallelujah. CJ, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much here on YouTube for your super chat. Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you. This is what I'm trying to say to you today. It doesn't matter if you look back through Martin Luther King Jr., his speeches, I have a dream, and he incited people to live. When they did the Montgomery, Alabama boycotts, people were incited to act. Why? For life. You go to any quote unquote political rally, you are incited to do what? Vote. Look at Malcolm X, the Black Panthers. You are incited. Even our tiny island of Barbados. We had a man who did the exact same thing, but he incited you through song and dance. Oh yes, he did. What's the word that they would call him? Because the jester would make you laugh, but he was the you'll know the name. Immortals was the movie with Henry Cavill, but the one who incites you through song, I forget their name. There's a specific name they have at court. Tell me what it is. So the point I'm trying to get across to you today, we act when we are inspired to do so. We act when we are riled up to do so. Nobody acts otherwise. Doesn't matter where you go throughout the world. You go to church on a Sunday, and that pastor is pacing on the stage, the pulpit. And God, he gave his life for you. And even when we say it, we think he's dying on the cross. But listen, he gave his life for, or did he give his life to? Oh, anyway, I digress. But you get what I'm saying. He gets up on the pulpit and he got you saying, preach, preach. And he passed that collection plate and you would give your inheritance. Why? He incited you to act. He gave you something bigger than yourself to look at. He gave you something bigger than yourself to believe in. Every day, all day, we do the exact same thing. If you have a good manager at work, oh God, by the time they get done, shoot, you will stay for 2 days. You'll pitch a tent and you'll work overtime. They incited you. They riled you up. They inspired you. They aroused you to act. So you see, even though we live in a world of action, that action does not happen without an impetus. Something happens to you to make you act. You are polarized to act. Polarized, yes. Good, bad, or indifferent, you are pointed in a direction, and whatever direction you are pointed in is how you are going to act. Just like any man in the army, any singer in the choir, you go to the hospital with, or a birthing center with a woman in labor, and she has the right doula, she's gonna find that extra oomph, chutzpah, and she will push. I'm telling you, we are incited, we are polarized to act. Ain't nobody gonna riot because they're bored. No, something has to rouse you. The word rouse is to wake up, to stir. Yes? This is what happens. You want that. Listen, school is starting again pretty doggone quick for some kids. You're going to have to do something real spectacular to get these bad boys out of bed because they've been playing all summer long. So you're going to have to rouse them, you understand? That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Right? So what are you going to do? Whatever this thing is that you want to accomplish, you've got to rouse yourself. So when you say, you know how scripture says, let the weak say, I am strong. So when you say, I am strong, at first it doesn't start out with that declaration. It starts out perhaps with a whimper. I am strong. I am strong. I am strong. I am strong. And you start pacing and you start pounding your chest, walking about, talking about you're strong. Do you know that when you believe you're strong, you're going to act strong? You're going to say it like say it with your whole chest. You'll say it like you're strong, but you won't say it. You know what will cause you to say, I am strong, like you're strong? You would have convinced yourself that you are. And if you notice, in all of these things, when people go to war and they fight, like all of these movies I was just telling you, like The Immortals with Henry Cavill, with Gerard Butler with 300, Matrix, Braveheart, all of them. And I'm sure there's many more. Is it Black Hawk Down? Where it's some movie with Jamie Foxx and Jake Gyllenhaal. And they go, hoorah! You know, I don't know what the movie is called. I just know that's the line in the movie. But what I'm trying to get across to you, they did not start out as brave. They did not. Someone had to rally them into bravery. You are that someone who gets to rally your own self into bravery. For whatever that thing is that you say you want to become, you are the one to rally, to rouse, to inspire, to motivate. Because if you do the job right, you will act. And you won't ever have to ask anybody, what should I do? You'll do the only thing you can do based upon how you've been roused. So when He screamed, "This is Sparta!" When he yelled that, when he yelled, "This is Sparta," every red-blooded male took up arms and they marched. Even though they knew the size of the army they were going to face, whatever it was that he convinced them to believe in, whatever he convinced them to believe in is what they died for. But now, here's what I want to get at for you. Remember Prince, "I would die for you"? Remember? Now, how about you live for me instead? What about that part? You see, life has to inspire you to want to live it too. You see, the only difference is they were willing to fight. Whether you fight for life or fight to die, choose. Life is meant for living. But they died so that others might live. They gave their lives for something, an ideology that they believed in. And they didn't just believe in it. Oh, no, they didn't just believe in it. They believed in it to the point of self-sacrifice. So today, what do you have to sacrifice? Oh, your old fear. You're not sacrificing your life. Sacrifice the old fear. Sacrifice the old thing that you're holding on to that says, "I can't do that. What if I fail?" You pound your chest and you say, "This is Angela." Well, you have to say your own name. You got to say your own name, right? Because that's what's worth living for. You know how many of us out here in these streets talking about, "I can't go on." So many of them are saying that. You know why? Because they've not been inspired to live. But the funny thing is, the inspiration is not going to come from the outside. All he could do was speak to his army in such a fashion that the inspiration welled up and rose up within them. They had to become willing. He couldn't force their willingness. This is why we have deserters in an army. They go AWOL, away without leave, you know, because they didn't believe the same thing you did. So they were like, "I'm out of here, suckers." So they left. So even though he incited them, he stirred them up, he roused them, they still had to believe. So at the end of the day, the buck still stops with them. But you see, when somebody believes in you so much, when somebody believes in you so much, they will do something for you. Oh, yes. We see it all the time, do we not? Of course, we see it all the time. It's not just in TV shows. Remember, there is no fiction. There's no fiction. They believe in their captain, just like the guy, the little kid in Matrix who was just 16, and they were coming in through gate 3, and he had to open that gate. The last thing he said before he fired those shots, "Neo, I believe." And he squeezed the trigger, and the chain broke on that gate, and it opened, and they came through that gate. Whew, let me tell you. He says, "Ooh, Niobe, you're a hell of a pilot." She said, "Some things change and some things don't." I cracked up at that part. But he said, "Neo, I believe." So you see, when you believe that something is true, you will act it out. Just like if you don't believe, you won't act. So today, who's your Gerard Butler? Who's your Henry Cavill? Who's your guy in the Matrix, Captain Buffoni? Who are you? Because you're the army, okay? You're the army, but you're the captain. You're the general. Yes, you are. Just like the Man of Steel, Henry Cavill once again. He believed in something so much. So what I'm trying to convey to you today, you've got to believe in what it is you say you want to become. And you have to believe to the point of conviction that you will live it out. You will act it out. You become it. So don't feel bad. In the beginning, it all starts as a whimper. Because it just does. But whether they are, like I said, whether they're marching to their impending doom or they're marching to live, it all starts at the same point. It starts as something that, yes, CJ, thank you. Thank you so very much. I love you. Much love. It all starts with something that they don't believe, but something that they want to believe. You understand? That's where it starts. It starts right there. They don't believe it at first. Nobody believes it at first because it sounds foreign. It feels foreign. They come from a foreign, if you're Jamaican, but I digress. It feels weird to the ear, funny to the ear, you know? Strange, odd, peculiar. But the more you start saying it to rouse the self, it starts to become something, you know, I could believe this. I could buy into this. Sounds plausible. I mean, I still might fail, but it sounds plausible. And you start to feel this bubbling in your chest. Yeah. You start to, you're not just making one little step and turning to pace. Oh, no, 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 no. You're moving up and down the room. That's what you're doing. I never understood pastors when they would gasp for air when they're talking. You know, listen, you've been to a black church, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I grew up in this because I can hear Brother Dan or Pastor Ford as they were preaching. I can hear it. I can't even imitate it, but I can hear it. You know how they spoke, and they would stomp their feet. And my grandmother would bang on the tambourine. Yes, hallelujah, hallelujah. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on in here today? But he was doing something. So when Neville Goddard tells you that you persist and you persist and you persist and you persist until you reach a climax, because it starts off slow and steady. Hello, we all got here. We know how we got here. Somebody started off slow and steady for us too. So let's not get it twisted. Life, it starts off slow and steady, but it builds. You can't escape the climax. You persist long enough, you'll hit the climax. Most of us don't get one because you don't take your time. But I digress. So what I'm saying to you is, you take your time. But I'm in a hurry. You in a hurry. Rush the brush, you waste the paint. Ain't nobody getting satisfied in that state of hurry. So when you are pacing, And you're trying to convince yourself, because that's exactly what you have to do. You have to convince yourself that you are what you say you want to be. So when Henry Cavill says, you don't have to listen to me, I am nobody. That's the first thing he said. I am nobody, he said. But if we don't fight, we leave nothing for our children. Our children die before they're born. And you're like, wait, what? What? What's he saying? Listen, by the time he was done, all you heard was sword on shield, bum, bum, bum. And he would talk, bum, bum, bum. And he's talking again, bum, bum, bum. And he builds until they roared in that Colosseum. And every man went out to fight to his death. So you are doing the same thing, but to live. That's what I'm trying to tell you today. You've got to rouse yourself to life. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to rouse yourself to it. Ain't nobody gonna come along and stir you up. You're the Henry Cavill. Listen, you're the Man of Steel. You're Superman. That's what you have to do it. Even though they had a general in the army hollering at them and inciting them, I told you they still had to agree and they still had to believe. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who comes before you to tell you anything about yourself. You are the one who's got to believe it. You've got to believe in your own self. The Olympics is going on right now. I didn't talk about the opening ceremonies. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the athletes, the ones who train day in and day out. Listen, I don't think they really get a break. We think, oh, it's 4 years between Olympics. That's not a cue to slack off. They train all day, every day. This is why they require sponsorships and somebody to pay their bills so that they can just go to the gym and train. Now, Simone Biles just did this thing, the Yurchenko, this double pike move on the vault. You think she did that move on the vault because she doesn't believe in herself? She has to believe in herself. You can't run headlong into something and then jump. You can't even see where you're going when you flipping in the air. But do you know what makes her believe in herself? Practice. Practice. She's got to run and jump and tumble and twist and turn and do all these things. And then she's got to stick the landing. Hey. Right? But that does not just happen overnight. It happens because she practices. So what are you practicing? Are you practicing rousing the self to self-belief so that it goes from believing to knowing? Or are you just going to sit and eat bonbons? And then you want to get up the day of the Olympics and talk about, I'm a champion. Listen, those bonbons may say otherwise. So you see, we don't take a break from practicing. Why not? Because you're living every day. You practice every day. Listen, even when she retires, she's either going to be teaching or she's still going to be working out. But you don't just stop. So she'll carry on. So the point that I am wanting so desperately to convey to you and myself today is that every day we get up, we rouse ourselves to action. You get up to go to work because the bills have roused you to get up because they don't pay themselves. So that's what would get us out of bed. We go, Ugh, but we'll get up. See, if you are not moved to act, you won't. That's why when Neville Goddard says, you ask yourself, what would it feel like if I were the man or the woman I wanted to be? That's the general statement, because then you have to be specific and say what that man or woman is that you want to be. What do you want to be? You've got to decide that. So when you decide that that's what you say you want to be, what would it look like? Naturally, what would it look like to you? What would you be doing? And you begin to feel it. And remember, at first, it feels kind of funny. Feels like you're just pretending. Feels like you're faking. But remember, the intensity builds. You need time for the intensity to build. Nobody just wakes up and they're intense. Intensity builds. And why and how does intensity build? By constant stroking. That's it. Which means you're telling yourself, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. What can I do? You know how to say, what do we want? When do we want it? Now. What do we want? When do we want it? Now. It's the same thing. The coach on the field. Same thing. He's rousing you to play. But it takes time to rouse oneself. First, you get the thought. Well, yes, you're aware. And then you get the thought that says, ooh, I would love to be more than what I presently am. What is that more? More, more, more. Right? What do you want to be? Oh, can you see it? Yes, you can see it, can't you? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? It might start off like a flicker, a little bit of gas, and what it might start off like. But you can feel it, can't you? Right. And now that you can feel it, you want to feel more of it. More about Jesus would I know, more of his grace to others show. Yeah, I grew up with that song. And it was just, that's all the song was. More about Jesus. More about Jesus. That's a song you would sing. More. So you've got to want more of what it is you say you want to become. But what more? The feeling more. This is what gives it life in your bosom. Some people ask, but I can't see it yet. Does that mean it isn't real? You know, you have scientists telling you when the body feels something, it doesn't know if it's the past. It doesn't know if it's a memory. All it knows is that it can feel it. So if you are replaying a memory and you feel it, your body says, oh, snap, this is happening now. So the key is rouse yourself to feel what it is that you want. Oh, here we go. Feel it now. Hallelujah. Listen, I have never come across a more timely chicken in my existence. Because he flaps his wings before he crows. So he and I can tell when he reaches the precipice, and then it just comes out of his mouth. It's the exact same with us. This is why some people pace. So that means you have to get in the mirror and give your speech. The more you practice it, right? The more aroused you become by the speech you give. If you say that's what you want to do, you want to be a teacher. How do you inspire the class? Well, get in front of the mirror and start practicing. because you got to arouse the self. If the self is aroused, it is contagious. You will rouse others. That's what some people would say at my old church. They've got you so excited you could go out and bite a tree. And I'm like, not really, but go ahead. Right? They've got you just so riled up. So that imaginal act that you are so focused upon, it has, listen, there's nothing else in your mind but the rehearsal. Even Simone Biles said it. There's nothing on your mind other than what you are about to do. You have to be singularly focused, because if you're not focused, you're going to hurt yourself. Can you imagine? Seriously, listen to the phrase. Can you imagine? You're out there about to run at top speed, hit the spring, and twist and twirl yourself in the air. Do you think you can think about cheesecake? If you think about cheesecake, you lose your sense. You lose where you are. And if you don't know where your head and your feet are pointing, you don't know where the ground is. This is, watch any athlete. It doesn't matter what sport they're playing. You can always tell if they lose their concentration, or you can tell when they hit it. When they hit in the pocket, that stride, you can tell. You can see it. So when Neville Goddard is saying to you, you become singularly focused, and it crowds everything else out of your mind, oh, he will not be silenced, will he? I love you. And nothing else matters. Nothing really matters. Let me not sing Queen in here. Right? Nothing matters but the task and the rousing of the self to task. So that means when you get up in the morning, before you put your feet on the floor, and in your mind's eye, you see and you feel and you know what it is you want to become. And you talk yourself in it. Right into it, you talk yourself. You move yourself in it. And listen, you will throw the covers back and you will be ready and ready. You'll SpongeBob the day. That's exactly what you'll do. And when you go through the day, you're doing your job, you're driving, you're doing whatever you're doing. But in the back of your mind, you are aroused to do what? To become what it is you say you want to be. There's nothing else there. You're not thinking about bonbons. You're not thinking about your favorite TV show. The only thing is that has got you in its thrall is I am that. I am. I am that. I am that. So when he was yelling, "This is Sparta," he was saying, "I am Sparta." That's what he was saying. But he had to get everybody else to believe what it is he was saying. And that's what you and I got to do. And so how do you do it? Step one, know what it is that you want to become or what you want to accomplish. Be clear about that. You know what it is now, right? It just came to mind, didn't it? Good. Step two, experience in imagination what you would experience in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. Right? So begin to see it in your mind's eye. And as you begin to see it in your mind's eye over and over and over again, the more aroused you become. Oh, yes. And all you do now from there is to persist in that imaginal act. Persist in that imaginal act over and over and over again. You better lose yourself, right, in your imaginal act. Lose yourself in it. Surrender to your imaginal act. So much so that you become it. Over and over, you practice it till you become it. To such a fever pitch, to such a climax, that what happens? You step right into the life of it. Because it unfolds. And you become it. And now you say, I am that. I am that. I am. Oh, yes, I am that. I am. Ah! And you say it. But you see what happens to us in that step in there? We don't give ourselves the time to build the intensity because we are desperate. Do you think you just wake up and you're desperate? No, you build up to desperation. Why? Because everything is a buildup. The seed, when you put it in the ground, the energy, you see, the energy, because remember, the seed dies. The seed dies. When you plant it, it dies until it bursts forth into life. I'm going to say it again. The planted seed dies. And the movement of death moves with such intensity that it moves into life. Well, that's what makes the roots bust out, right? So that means that death is doing something. Because we all know it dies. You ever have a piece of ginger? You ever have a piece of garlic? You ever have an onion? And it withers, but as it is withering, there's a shoot coming out the top. So what's happening? Death is becoming life. So even death has a climax to become life. Life has a climax and it becomes death. It's called rhythm. It is ebb and flow. So you build yourself up. Meaning what? You have to suck the life out of the old. All of that old energy that you had towards, I'm nobody. I can't do this. I've been abandoned. Oh, you see all of that life and energy you got in it? Suck the life out of that and use it to fuel what you say you are becoming. That is the art of mental transmutation, where you use the old to build the new. This is why they tell you energy cannot be destroyed. You shape it into something else. Because it's not it's not a singular piece of thread, you understand. It is a constant motion. It is a constant thing. And it moves from one state to another and back. One state to another and back, over and over and over again. So when you say in your mind's eye, here's what I want to become, what would that look like? What would it feel like to you? And you begin to draw on that. You draw on it to fuel it. And it builds and it builds and it builds. But how can it build when you say, nothing is happening right now? I'm still this. I'm still broke. I'm still this. I'm still that. You rob yourself when you do not remain faithful. So remain faithful, but you have to understand what remaining faithful means. Remaining faithful means you're just like that piece of garlic. You're just like that onion that is rotting on the counter, but it's not rotting, is it? Because there's a shoot coming out of it. How can it be dead and alive at the same time? Because one is becoming the other. But it takes time. You build. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. Nothing stands still. So you have to continually rehearse. So if that means every morning you are giving your speech in the mirror and you pound your chest when you leave the house because you feel like I'm king of the world, do it. And you go about your day. And then you're eating your lunch by yourself. Flip down the visor in your car if you got a mirror and then look in the mirror and give your speech. Oh, yes. And you feel it build. And when you're done, go back to work. And now, evening approaches. You put your head on your pillow, do the same thing again. And eat, sleep, and breathe what it is you want to become. That's step 3. The rehearsal of step 2. The faithfulness is step 3. And you know, because this is how you will keep yourself faithful. You know that the same way that onion is there on the counter and it is rotting, you know that you are dying to the old, which is giving life to the new. If you can put that in the back of your mind to say, you know what? The more I rehearse this, the more life I give it. And the more I rehearse it, the more life I give it. The more I rehearse, the more life I give it. Until such time I sprout these roots and I anchor myself into the being that I want to be. That is how you become what it is you say you want. Because you're doing it the other way. You're doing it the other way. The more you tell yourself you're not good enough, you realize you'll reach a climax. Oh, indeed you shall. You'll reach a precipice. You'll reach the zenith. Indeed. And the more intensity of worthlessness you feel, well, we all know how that turns out, don't we? Turns out with closed curtains and a dark room and lonely, I'm so lonely. That's the only song playing on the record player. See? I tell you, you and I are already doing it because it is the only thing we can do. It is the nature of life itself. Step 1, know what you want. Step 2, experience in imagination what you would experience in reality. Step 3, rehearse it until you become it. You don't have time to stop and ask, are we there yet? Because why? You lose momentum. And if you lose momentum, you got to build it up again. It is easier to build and keep it going than to start and stop. Oh. Anyway, I think you get the point. This is Sparta. Oh my God, I love saying it. It just gets y'all riled up when you say it, like, oh my God. So that's why I want you to practice it. Let us take a moment, shall we, to welcome everyone into the space. And I know some of you might think I'm crazy, but you know, kudos to you. Well, at least you'll remember what to do. And when you laugh, you'll move yourself from an unsavory mood into a better one. Method to the madness, you say. Anyway, hey, beloved love troll. Hilarion. Big Shay. I see you here on Twitter. Much love to each of you. Hey. It's good to see you. Truly, it is. Who's on YouTube and Facebook this morning? Double A Vibes. He probably went back to work now because he's usually when he pops in, he's on his lunch break. He's in UK time. So, hey, Double A. CJ, Thank you again for your generous super chat. I appreciate it. Everyday King is in the house. Ooh, hello, viewing pleasure. Oh, you're from DC, are you? Well, welcome, dearest. Oh, Sugar Visions. Hey, Jeff. Cyber. I see you. Anot. Welcome, dearest. I have missed you. I know you must be busy, but I still think of you, darling. I see you. Now, who's here on Fanbase this morning? Hey, KZ. L is here. Flo Smiles is here. My omnipresent darling. Oracle Treehouse. Miss Fawn. Listen, thank you all for being here and spending time with me this morning. It is truly appreciated. And a little bit says hello too. Don't get it twisted. A little bit is all up in this business. He really is. And that's my buddy. Yes, listen, he hears Fawn's voice and he's ready to go. He really does. You see, this is what I get up to do every single day. I can't stop. We can't stop. We won't stop. Don't let me keep singing these people's songs. You know how copyrights are. I'm like, shoot, man. Anyway, remember to rehearse and to rouse one's self. It is only you that can do it. I may have done all of this morning for about 50 minutes. And you might leave and say, please. Her heifer is crazy. She don't know what she's talking about. You may leave with that attitude. Because at the end of the day, it is only you who can rouse yourself. Do you know why it is only you who can rouse yourself? Because you know exactly what buttons to push. You know exactly what you want to hear. You know exactly what you want to see. Because you know you. All I can do is plant the seed. I'm not planting seeds just in your fertile mind. I'm planting seeds in my own fertile mind. Because when one teaches to learn, I'm not deaf. I'm hearing what I'm saying. I got to be roused by it too. So practice for the love of God and all things. The thing that you want to become must hold you in its grip. That you don't, listen, you don't want to escape it. It's got to hold you. You don't want to escape it. You would rather stay there. That thing that you want to become has to do that to you. How else would you stay faithful? See? It's got to have you enraptured. Singularly focused. That you won't turn to the left, you won't turn to the right, but you will stay the course. You'll be steady. You'll be steady Eddie. Hey. I trust today you will do what it takes to rouse yourself to life. And with that, let's get the bowl. You might get birdsong. I don't know. You might be on a little bit of a break. But you'll get the bowl. What is it this morning? Experience and imagination? What you would experience in reality? Oh, yes. And just allow yourself to be immersed in it. Be drenched in it. Oh yeah. Anyway, I was gonna say something, but I'm a lady, so I can't. Uh, let me get that bowl for us. She's a lady. Sorry. Whew. Countdown initiated. 5, 3, 2. Work it out, big boy. one. Thank you all for being here on this glorious, wait, what are we, Wednesday? No, Tuesday. Oh, jeez. Give him a strength, Lord. Anyhow, enjoy the beautiful day. And as you go through this day, in the back of your mind, this is Sparta. Doesn't help that he's handsome, but you know how it is. Anywho, much love to each and every one of you. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, fanbase. Be you without limits. Hey. Anyways, I'll see you tonight. I don't remember the name of the lecture. You know, I just know it'll probably be lit because they usually are. So I'll see you tonight at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're still awake and you want to fall asleep in the state of the wish fulfilled. All right. So, peace out, Twitter. Peace out. YouTube and Facebook. I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side.